Zoom in Barcelona. There's a photography contest in Barcelona. We're gonna run around the city taking pictures of awesome places that the judges will send us to, well, to take pictures of, meaning that the locations where the good stuff is will change during the game. This is the board of the game. It represents the area where we'll be running around, taking pictures. The game is competitive in case it wasn't obvious. And so you'll just go around, move and take pictures. And at the end of the game, you will score points and you see who scores the most points. You have a deck of cards representing the locations that the judges want to see. You shuffle the deck and then you have a line of cards that you place there indicating the things that are available for scoring or for photographing right now. And it's amazing because the cards in that deck, each card has a unique piece of art, so really high production values here, great commitment to give you a sense of place and location. As you can see, there are indicators there in the top left corner that tells you where that thing is. For example, that one will be in that district there, the blue district, which also had the numbers in that sort of flag symbol or flag shape, number 5. That one there, 7, purple with this rugged shape here. And so that's what it is. We're gonna go to those locations and we're going to collect those pictures. There are also these other tiles. They represent the landscapes and you place them on the board on the matching symbols. You always place for each symbol one fewer than the number of players. So basically the board right now is set up for 3 players, which is how I played this game the most, which is with both of my kids that are now in 9 and 11. That tells you this is a game that you can also play with younger players. Here we have a line of cards. The cards, they also come from this deck. And since I was talking about that, just look at this. It's really quite impressive. So right here you have a line of cards that will be used in the standard game. The rules also tell you that you can play the game without those in the intro game. I tried, not even a full game, a couple of rounds, and then we were like, you know what, let's go, let's play the full game. Pretty cool, huh? Dragon, yeah, there are several. Apparently dragons are very common in Barcelona, just my kind of city, I guess. I gotta visit again. I visited once, but it was a long time ago, and I actually don't remember much. So here, you will place 4 cards random at the beginning of the game. These 4 cards never change, and they represent the things that you have to photograph during the game to be able to fully score those other cards. So the cards that are up there, when you're in the corresponding location and you spend an action to collect one, good for you. And you will place them in your play area up to 8. When a player has 8 of those cards, that triggers the end of the game. However, you'll be able to score those cards only if you had also taken the time to visit these locations. So, and you have to visit them in this order, from left to right. So if I visit this location here on the board, once I do so, I take a cube of the same color as my pawn and I place it there. And then later in the game, maybe I visit that location there, booyah, so I get to move this one there. The number on top of the card where your cube will be at the end of the game indicates the number of these landscape cards that you will be able to score. So even if I have 8, if my cube is there at the end of the game, I will only score 6. So I'll probably want to go for the 6 to give me the most points. The value of those cards may change. Also, each player will have a display such as this one, where you place your cube at the beginning of the game. So cute. Where you have a number of zooms that you will use during the game. You have up to 3. We'll see later what they do. For now, just know that once you use them, you keep track of the number you still have rotating this thing, and once they get to 0, That's it. You have 3 zooms for the entire game. Then at the beginning of the game, each player also receives a landscape tile such as this one. This side is all the same for everybody. This side with the actual landscape, with the actual skyline, is different from everybody. And you will want to keep this secret. It will be revealed in the final scoring. And it's important that the players don't know exactly what you got there because they can prevent you from scoring points otherwise. This camera here, also, these are different and they are assigned randomly at the beginning of the game because they also tell you what your starting location will be. And suppose my starting location is there. Finally, each player receives a hand of 3 cards from a deck of movement cards, and these have numbers between 3 and 6. And so now we're good to go. Now, players will alternate taking turns. So during your turn, you can move and then take an action in that order. Oh, also dragon there. Hooray! We'll see what that does. But it is, for now, know that it displays randomly on the board. Apparently, there are a lot of works of art representing dragons in Barcelona. But I think that's just an excuse to hide the fact that they have real dragons. I think that's just... I saw it on a conspiracy website, so it must be true. So, move and then take an action. Moving is the standard movement. You move 2 connections following the net of connections on the board. As simple as that. 1, 2. That would be my move for this turn. Alternately, I can play a card, and then I can move up to the indicated number. So if I play that card, instead of 2, I can move up to 6. Simple as that. After I use the card, I discard it, and I do not replenish my hand just yet. So that's for movement, really. Then, as we said, you can take an action. If I am at an information center, I can take the action of replenishing my hand. And my hand of cards is 3. I can discard any card from my hand that I want, and then I draw back up to 3 from the deck. And so that's how you replenish your card when you're at an information center and you spend your action to do so. If I end my movement on a metro station, my action for the turn can be to teleport to any other metro station on the board. So in that case, regular movement plus metro movement as my action. But the action that you will want to take the most is to take pictures. And you can do so if you end your movement in the location of one of the cards here in the judge's picks row. So for example, I'm there, 7, and right there's a card available there. After I end my move there, as my action for the turn, click, I take this picture, I collect it, and I place it in my personal area, and that row will be replenished. If I'm not quite there, if I'm close enough to a location that I want to photograph, that's when I can use my zoom. So each point to zoom allows me to take a picture of a subject up 1 space away. So right now I am 1 space away from that place, and I really want to take that picture, so I go click, I spend a point of zoom, and I can do that. If I'm here, I could spend 2 points of zooms. You can zoom. I could even be 3 spaces away. If I really want that picture, take the picture using 3 points of zoom, but then I'm done for the rest of the game. And that's how the zoom works, and you can use it to take a picture of anything. Another thing I can take a picture of is the skyline. So if I'm in a location next to a stack of skyline tokens that still has those tokens, I can take one of those and also place it in my play area. You can only have 1 per type. So if I already have 1, I cannot take another one just to hoard them, just to prevent an opponent from taking them. So that's very important. Also the dragon, remember the dragon is there, and if I take a picture of the dragon, again, either because I land there or I use my zoom, then I get a special advantage, and after that I will draw a card, and that will determine the location where the dragon teleports next. And the advantages are that I can take a card from the judge's picks there, any of those, just for free without getting there, or I can advance my cube here on this row, which, remember, will help me score my cards at the end of the game. I can also use the dragon's power to refresh the judges' picks row, which is that one up there, and I can also use the dragon power to collect any one skyline token that I don't have yet and add it to my personal collection. So this is the general idea. You move and then you take an action, and by doing so you collect those cards. You'll advance your personal cube on this line here. You will collect skyline tokens, interact with the dragon, and that's pretty much it for how the game works. Now, for final scoring, you'll score, the game is over when somebody collects their 8 cards, and it may be the players do not get the same amount of turns. At that point, players reveal their skyline, and the way it works is this. You look at the tokens that you collected during the game, and you place them under / next to your skyline. Try to pretty much recreate it. As you can see, the skyline shows you the tokens in a specific order. So you're trying to recreate the skyline as much as possible by showing that you have tokens that on the skyline are adjacent to one another. In this case, for example, I have one token, which is by itself, because I don't have the one that's adjacent to it, and then 3 tokens that are next to each other. And how much are they worth? It's indicated here. The one by itself is 1 point. The 3 that are next to each other, that set is 7 points. If you have all of them, then you score 30 points, which is huge, and that also means you can't allow people to do so. That's why it's also so important that this is secret, because if I knew where your things are, then just by collecting the token, preventing you from getting the token, which is right in the middle, I'm breaking down your scoring here quite a while, but I'm not giving as much damage if I remove this one and you still have all the other ones in a row. That's 24 points. But if I break this one and I let you with 3 and 4, that's not nearly as good. So that's how you score the skyline. The pictures, each picture is worth 3 points. However, at the beginning of the game, you place 2 tokens here on the board, the 2 tokens next to the judges' picks row from a bunch of these double-sided tokens. So these are selected randomly. So in this game only, the cards that we collect from that row that have 1 or more of those symbols, they are worth an extra point for each of those symbols. Again, the standard is 3 points, but this one, for example, does have this symbol here. So in this game, this card will be worth 4 points. This card is also worth, this card is worth 3 points because it has none of those symbols. This one has one of those symbols, worth 4 points. If a card has both, then it's worth 5 points. And that's, but remember, you select among those cards only a number up to the one indicated here where your cube is. Of course, again, you want to get those that are 4 and 3 if possible, and you score points from those cards. Add the points from the cards to the points from the skyline. Player with the highest total wins the game. And this is how you play Zoom in Barcelona, which I find to be a very pleasant family game. I definitely enjoy playing it with my kids, more than I expected. When I looked at the board, I don't know, maybe it reminded me of some painful pedagogical games that I played when I was a kid, that it was barely a game, it was just an excuse for us to learn about Italian geography. But I also thought, okay, fine, it's just a race game. But it turned out to be a lot more pleasant than that, to have a lot more interesting decisions. So if you also think just like almost like a roll and move, just without the roll, but just a move and race and pick up stuff, there is more to it because the situation on the board changes constantly based on what are these objectives that come and go that people will constantly collect. Which of these are available? This is an interesting location. Right now, that's a useless location. Oh, darn. And I see my daughter Amelia, she's collecting a ton of these. I need to start collecting the ones that she doesn't have yet to prevent her from creating a killer skyline. So the objectives, what matters, changes constantly. The position of the dragon that will randomly go from one dragon icon on the board to another as determined by a card draw. Super important, because all of a sudden I was in an area that was kind of boring. Boom, the dragon pops up, and then I want to go there. Is it worth to spend a card? Or I guess. So there are more decisions to do there when it comes to budgeting the cards, when it comes to collecting the good things on the board, and when it comes to being a little bit cutthroat. This is a game that has more of a confrontational element than I expected. Even coalition building, as again, usually one of my kids, Luisa, and I need to work together against Amelia, or she's just gonna go for the skyline. And sometimes, I'll go and do that, and you'll do that thing, so Amelia doesn't get all the skyline things. Another interesting thing that I didn't mention is that you cannot stop on a space where there is somebody else. So it's a perfectly legitimate strategy to get in a place to prevent an opponent from getting there. We do it all the time, and we still love each other, and we're still a great family. But sometimes there's a little bit of animosity there. But it's all in good fun. Talking about the resources to be used, the zooms are so powerful, so precious, so few of them. So, it is a game that surprised me very, very much, and only in a good way, because I was just finding myself discussing and thinking about strategies and improvising all the time. There aren't many dead turns. That's pretty good. From time to time, it may happen. There really isn't anywhere interesting to go. There isn't a lot to do, and so your turn will be happens. But then again, you may be able to play cards. With the Metro, you can teleport quite well. So it's a game that does keep the players engaged. It's colorful. These cards are just stunning. I'm just so impressed by the art and the quality and the variety. I don't know why they're always upside down. Why didn't they print them upside up? Just weird. But other than that, the fact that the cards are printed upside down, I'm kidding, right? I just want to check. So other than that, the game is really impressive, production-wise, but also as a design, as a family game. There's a good one. There's a strong one, even one that kept us engaged. That my kids had asked me to play several times since the last time that we played, and that I had a good time. I had a good time every time I played it. So that's just good enough. Zoom in Barcelona, a game that looks good, and from the point of view of the design, is not just a simple race game. It has a lot of interesting decisions, and those elements make it a really engaging family game.